Your calendar is full. Your close rate is garbage. And lately, the calls have started to feel a little gross, a little pushy, a little salesy. So I took that exact problem to the council. And the first thing they told me was this: you don't have a closing problem. You have a truth problem. Welcome to the Thinking Big podcast. I'm Sean Osborne, and every week we go after the one thing standing between you and your next level. No fluff, no small thinking, just the mindset, the strategy, and the moves that actually change the game. Let's get into it.
This episode is sponsored by the Inner Circle Mastermind. Listen, success isn't a solo game, and the fastest way to level up your business, mindset, and income is by getting in the right rooms. If you want to 10x your growth, then surround yourself with high-level thinkers. And this isn't just another group. It's a powerhouse of ambitious entrepreneurs, game changers, and industry leaders who are scaling fast and thinking even bigger. Doors are open now, but not for long, so apply today at thinkingbigcoaching.com/themastermind and start playing at a whole new level, because your network is your net worth.
A client came to me with a question, and the second they asked it, I knew it wasn't really their question. It was everybody's question. Here it is. My calendar is full of sales calls, but my close rate is terrible. What exactly do I change in my offer and my call structure to double my close rate without feeling salesy? If you've ever sat there staring at a packed calendar, wondering why all that activity isn't turning into money, that question is yours too. A full calendar feels like proof you're winning. And then the calls don't close, and the team starts pushing harder, and every conversation starts to feel like you're talking somebody into something. That feeling, the salesy feeling, is the thing nobody can quite fix. So I did what I do with the questions that actually matter. I took it into the room. If you're new here, the room is where I convene the council. Deep mind models of the greatest minds in selling and persuasion brought together to collide on one real question at a time. Because when two minds meet, a third one forms in the space between them, and it's sharper than either one alone. That's the third mind, and that is the whole game. For this one, I put 5 of them in the room. Alex Hormozi, the offer engineer. Zig Ziglar, the master sales trainer. Voss, the FBI hostage negotiator. Katelyn Bourgoin, the buyer psychologist, and Robert Cialdini, the authority on influence itself. And they did not politely agree. They collided. And the collision is where the gold was. Hormozi goes first, and he reframes the whole problem in one move. He says, Sean, a full calendar plus a terrible close rate usually means you don't have a sales problem at all. You have a qualification problem and an offer clarity problem that are just showing up on sales calls. Think about what that means. If the people are wrong, no script on earth will fix it. If the people are right, but they're not buying, your offer isn't creating enough value in their mind to justify the price. And if the offer is good, but the call still feels salesy, you're pitching before they feel understood. And then he says the line that reframed the word itself. Salesy is what happens when you try to create urgency with your mouth instead of uncovering urgency with your questions. Sit with that. Salesy isn't a tone. It's a sequence error. You're asking before you've earned the right to ask. So his fixes come in 2 stacks. First, the offer. He says add friction before the call. A full calendar is not the goal. A full calendar of qualified buyers is the goal. Your application should disqualify people before they ever touch your team's time. And he put it bluntly, You get money from yeses. You get time from no's. You get nothing from maybes. Then tighten the offer until you can say it in one sentence. I help this specific person get this specific outcome in this specific time frame without the biggest sacrifice they hate. Because if you can't say it that cleanly, the prospect can't repeat it in their own head. And if they can't repeat it, they can't buy it. Then he hit the part he thinks is your weakest. Proof. He says most offers sound good, but don't feel believable. And weak proof sounds like, we've helped companies grow. Real proof sounds like this. We helped a 12-person accounting firm go from 9 booked calls a month to 31 in 74 days without hiring another setter. Same industry, same starting point, same constraint. That's proof a buyer can feel. And then the call itself. Stop opening with your deck. Stop opening with your company story. Nobody cares yet. Open with one question. What made you book this call today? And then shut up. For the first 15 minutes, your only job is questions, restatements, and stories. No pitching. And when they finish explaining, you label it back. So what I'm hearing is you're dealing with this, it's costing you that, and what you actually want is this. Is that accurate? Because people buy from the person who can describe their problem better than they can. When you finally present, you use their words and you keep it to 3 parts, not 19 features. As he put it, sell the vacation, not the plane flight. They don't want your dashboards and your modules and your Slack access. They want the destination. And the close is not a pressure tactic, it's a decision question. Do you want help solving this? Yes, move forward. No, bless and release. Maybe find the real concern. Because the goal is not to get the person to buy. The goal is to get the person to decide. Good, clean, mechanical. And then Zig Ziglar leans in and says, Alex is right about the calendar, but you're all missing something mechanics can never fix. Ziglar says if your team feels salesy, it's usually one of 3 things. They don't fully believe in the offer, they don't fully understand the prospect, or they're asking for money before they've established value. And that, he says, is not a script problem. That's a conviction problem. Then he gives you the sentence the whole session orbits around. Selling is a transference of feeling. If I can get you to feel about my product the way I feel about it, and it truly serves you, then buying becomes natural. But if I try to close you before I've helped you see your own need, I'm not selling, I'm pushing. His language is unforgettable. He says, don't sell a wandering generality, sell a meaningful specific. We help businesses grow is fog, and fog does not sell. He says testimonials that just say, great company, are cotton candy, sweet, but they won't feed anybody. He says most salespeople show up and throw up. They talk too soon, like a doctor handing you medicine before he's taken your temperature. And his rule is the same shape as Hormozi's, but aimed at the heart. Do not present your offer until the prospect has admitted the gap in their own words. Benefits first, mechanics second, price last. And not, as he put it, 17 modules and a partridge in a pear tree. Now here's the first real collision. Right in the middle of Zig, Robert Cialdini interrupts him. And he asks the sharp question, Zig, are you saying conviction outranks the behavioral triggers we know move decisions? Social proof, authority, scarcity? Or are those equally essential? And Ziglar's answer lit up the room. He said, those triggers are powerful tools. but tools in the hands of a man without belief become manipulation with a necktie on. Social proof and scarcity may move a decision, but conviction is what keeps the sale clean. You might get a signature using psychology on someone. You won't get their trust. You won't get the referral, and you won't get a customer who stays sold. Then Chris Voss steps in, and he takes Ziglar's point and pushes it one level deeper into something I did not see coming. Voss says you don't have a closing problem. You have a truth problem. Your prospects are not telling you the real reason they won't buy. Not on the call. They tell you after, when they ghost you or delay you or give you that polite little counterfeit yes that sounds like, send me more information. And here's where he connected the whole room. He said Ziglar is right that conviction matters. But conviction without making it safe for the prospect to say no turns into pressure. And pressure is exactly what people experience as salesy. That's the reframe. Salesy is not enthusiasm. Salesy is a prospect who doesn't feel safe enough to tell you the truth, getting asked to commit anyway. So Voss rebuilds the open. Before anything, you disarm the fear they already walked in with. You say something like, before we start, you're probably wondering if this is just another call where I ask a few questions, pretend to listen, and pitch you no matter what. And you're probably thinking you don't want to get pressured into a decision today. So if this isn't a fit, I'll tell you. And if it doesn't feel right to you, I want you to tell me no. Fair. That one move changes the temperature of the entire room. Then you ask what made them take the call, and you shut up. When they answer, you don't solve, you mirror. They say, our close rate is low. You say, low. And they keep talking. Then you label. It sounds like your team is working hard, but the calls aren't turning into decisions. And then Voss asks the question most salespeople are terrified to ask. What would make this a bad fit? Because that is where the truth finally starts coming out. His rule is a hard gate. No, that's right, no pitch. You summarize their world so cleanly, they say, that's right, or exactly. And if they don't, you do not present. You ask 3 words instead. What did I miss? He said that sentence will make you money. Even his close protects the truth. Not, are you ready to get started? That's amateur hour. Instead, would it be ridiculous to talk through what working together would look like? Because if they say no, they've just given themselves permission to keep going. And if they go quiet, you say, it sounds like there's something here that doesn't feel safe yet. And then you wait. Because, as Voss put it, if they haven't felt understood, your offer will land like a sales argument. You're not selling. You're guessing with confidence. Then Katelyn Bourgoin, the buyer psychologist, agrees with the qualification and the truth and adds a sharper diagnosis. She says, your sales call is probably starting too late in the buyer's story. Most teams open at, you booked a demo, what are you looking for? But the useful story started earlier. It started at the trigger event, the thing that happened that made this problem impossible to ignore. And if you don't know that event, your offer sounds generic and your call feels salesy because you're trying to manufacture urgency that you should have just uncovered. She named the trap exactly. A full calendar with a terrible close rate usually means you're talking to people who are problem aware but not change ready. They're curious, they're comparing, they're gathering ammo for some internal conversation, but they have not hit the catalyst that makes doing nothing more painful than buying. So she rebuilds the offer around the moment, not the audience. Not, we help SaaS companies improve revenue operations. That's fog again. Instead, we help teams who just lost a deal because the handoff between sales and success broke down and leadership needs it fixed before the next board meeting. See the difference? The second one names a circumstance, a moment, pressure, and she reframes the whole call as an interview before it's ever a pitch. She'd open like this: before I tell you anything about us, I want to understand what led you here. Walk me through the story in order, almost like we're shooting a documentary of how this became a priority. That frame pulls them out of evaluate the vendor mode and into story mode. Then she walks forward through the story. What was going on when you first realized this had to change? What did you try? What stopped working? And then 2 questions most people never ask. What almost made you not book this call? And what would make this risky to buy? Because that last one tells you the exact fear your offer has to remove. And she left the room with the line I wrote down. People don't change when they see the light. They change when they feel the heat. Your job on the call is to help them name the heat, then show why your offer is the painkiller. Last in the room is Robert Cialdini. And Cialdini does something contrarian. He says, I would not start by adding more persuasion to the call. That is usually the mistake. I'd start by reducing uncertainty before the call even begins. His point: your prospects arrive uncertain, and your team tries to kill that uncertainty with explanation. But explanation is not the strongest tool for uncertainty. Comparable social proof is. And he proved it with a study. In Beijing restaurants, managers put a small asterisk next to certain dishes and labeled them one of our most popular. Those dishes became 13 to 20% more popular. Nothing about the food changed. The signal just reduced uncertainty for first-time visitors who didn't know what to order. And here's his punch. Your sales prospects are first-time visitors. They don't know whether your thing works for people like them. So he says, build the proof into the promise itself and make it comparable, not generic. We helped 200 companies is weak. We helped 3 companies with your exact constraint is strong. Because people never really ask, has this worked for anyone? They ask, has this worked for someone like me? And then he moves the proof earlier than anyone into a short confirmation note before the call that does 3 things. It defines fit honestly. This is usually a fit when this is true and not when that is true. It shows one tight before and after from someone like them. And it asks them to bring one number. What is this problem costing you per month, even roughly? That one question makes the cost of inaction real before the call even starts. His warning was the cleanest in the session. Do not manufacture urgency. That's counterfeiting, and it will make your team feel manipulative because it is. Reduce uncertainty before you increase urgency. Because evidence, properly placed, doesn't feel like pressure, it feels like help. Now watch what happened in the room, because this is the part you can't get from any one of them alone. Hormozi, listening to Voss, stopped and said, wait. I've been obsessed with keeping bad fits off the calendar and making the offer obvious. But if the call isn't safe, my qualification data is fake. Those aren't real objections. They're censored inputs. And he named it truth-gated selling. Design the call so every step earns a real no before it earns a real yes. You double the close rate by making bad bits exit faster and good bits convince themselves. Then Ziglar, listening to Bourgoin, had his own. He said, I've been telling you to help them name the need and the cost and the want. But if I diagnose the value before I diagnose the event, I'm treating a full calendar like a hot pipeline. So the new thing is a triggered conviction gate. Make the prospect prove that change is alive before you ever prescribe. You don't close them. You meet them where the urgency already found them. And then Bourgoin, listening to Cialdini, closed the loop. She said, diagnosis without proof, still ask them to trust my interpretation. And proof without the trigger is just noise. So it's trigger-matched evidence. The offer shouldn't promise an outcome in general. It should prove the next step for the exact moment they're standing in. Stop closing people. Let their own timeline make the proof undeniable. And here is the third mind, the thing none of them said alone. Your new sales system is not a script. It's a sequence of gates, a trigger gate, a truth gate, a proof gate, and then last, a decision gate. If a buyer cannot explain why now, cannot safely tell you the real objection, and cannot see evidence from someone in their exact situation, the rep has not earned the right to pitch yet. That's it. That's the whole answer to feeling salesy. Salesy is pitching before you've passed the gates. Selling is what's left when you have. So what do you actually do this week? One move. It's an audit, and it's brutal and simple. Pull your last 10 closed lost calls and record your next 10 calls. And for every one of them, check whether your rep can finish this exact sentence before they ever pitched. They booked this call because this event happened. They tried this. It failed because of this. And if they do nothing, this is what it costs them. If your rep can complete that sentence, the call will feel like a diagnosis. If they can't, they pitched into the dark, and that's your leak. While you're in there, mark 2 more things. How many minutes until the pitch, and whether comparable proof showed up before the prospect's uncertainty or after. If your proof is landing at minute 37, move it into the confirmation email and watch what happens. That one audit tells you whether you have a closing problem, a qualification problem, a proof problem, or a timing problem. Most people are guessing. You won't be. And the council left one question open. On purpose. The one I want you sitting with. How much friction can you add before the call, before it starts protecting your close rate, but also starts choking off good fit buyers who just aren't ready yet? There's a line where qualification becomes a wall. Nobody in the room knew exactly where yours is. That's the next session. Here's what I want you to do with all of this. The question you just heard answered was one client's question, but you have one too. The thing you keep circling at 2 a.m. The decision you can't see clearly because you're standing too close to it. Take it into your own room. Go to invisiblecounsel.ai/first session, open your first room, and ask your first question. Put the thing that's actually stuck in front of the council and watch what the third mind surfaces. That's invisiblecounsel.ai/first session. Your answer is closer than you think. You just haven't had the right room to ask it in. That's the Thinking Big podcast. If this one moved something for you, share it with a founder who needs it. and leave a review so more people find the show. Keep thinking big. I'll see you in the next one.